Yo, what's up YouTube? What's going on today? Welcome back to the channel. We just got a foreshadow of Boruto's death in the upcoming chapters of Two Blue Vortex. And bro, this is crazy. Boruto is going to die by the hands of Jorah. And what's gonna save him is the Jougan. This is some greasy stuff right now. Bro, at first I thought Kashin Koji was joking, but that's not the case. If you look at the beginning of this chapter, Jorah was literally about to finish off Boruto up until the moment Mamushi pulled up, saying, hey, wait a minute, we got something to do, come back to the hideout. At that moment, it's when Boruto survived, and Jorah says it was because of a divine power that he survived. Who stopped Boruto from dying? There's a theory that it's possibly Shibai from a higher dimension who had stopped Jorah from attacking Boruto, because at that moment, technically, if Mamushi did not pull up, Boruto would be dead. And this goes into the Boruto multiverse thing that Kashin Koji was talking about, where he's saying that the timeline is going in one straight path, but it gets branched off, and in those branches is different events that are supposed to happen, and depending on what event happens, it'll keep continuing from there. For example, he gives us the Ishiki fight. If Naruto died, Ishiki won, he took over Kawaki's body, the planet would have been destroyed. But because Naruto won, Ishiki died, he saved the planet. So in this case, Boruto at that moment was supposed to die when Jorah was about to blast him, but because Mamushi pulled up, Jorah says, Boruto, you are alive because you are truly lucky. It's as if the heavens are decreeing that you remain alive. Perhaps this is a divine intervention. Alright, when we're talking about divine stuff, we know we're talking about Otsutsuki's and gods and stuff like that. This tells me that it was most likely Shibai, because they even reference Shibai in this manga, where Kashin Koji tells Boruto that Shibai's abilities have been implanted in all members of Kara, including himself. So if Shibai is controlling time and space outside of their world, it was perhaps at this moment when Mamushi pulled up, he stopped Jorah's attack because Shibai made that happen. That is some crazy shit. This chapter was wild. So getting back to the topic, this tells us that Boruto is going to die because Kashin Koji says that Jorah is going to kill Boruto. If you look at his wording, he says he is going to kill him. There's an emphasis on he is. It's not he's going to or he will. He is going to kill you. Meaning it's a guaranteed that he is going to kill you. Somewhere in the future, Boruto is going to die. Kashin Koji also mentions that but many futures show it happening. So that is another hint that a lot of the futures show Boruto dying by Jorah's hand. And I think this is where the Jougan kicks in. Now this is a greasy theory I have, that Boruto's Jougan is going to come in at the moment Boruto is at the near death point. For example, Kashin Koji had his powers awaken when he was at a near death point. Now if we say the Jougan is a Shinjutsu, it's possible that that Shinjutsu awakens when Boruto is at the near death point. Now we know that Boruto already died once, but that's because he wasn't a full Otsutsuki. Now imagine, now that he is 100% Otsutsuki, he goes to the near death point, and that is when the eye awakens to save Boruto. And the reason I think the Jougan did not awaken this whole time is because of Momoshiki overriding Boruto's DNA. That caused the Jougan to not awaken as it did before he got the karma. But I think Boruto's Jougan is going to appear at that moment that Boruto dies, thus allowing Boruto to change his destiny. So speaking of destiny, Koji mentions that the winning destiny is what continues the timeline. So what if Boruto changes his destiny by using the Jougan? If the Jougan allows him to time travel, he can go back to the moment to save himself, as Toneri did say that Boruto's eye will save the world and is the eye of hope. And that eye will allow Boruto to choose the winning outcome. So the Jougan will allow Boruto to go back in time and change the outcome, thus rewriting history. But I think it's based off of the person's actions that changes the future. As Kashin Koji talks about that multiple times in this chapter with the Ishiki thing, or even with Boruto and Sarada, where he says that Boruto and Sarada did die in one timeline when Kawaki attacked him in chapter 78. But because Sarada intervened, Boruto's eye got cut, Boruto and Sarada lived. And thus those seconds that Boruto got his eye cut protecting Sarada was enough time for everyone to gang up on Kawaki and stop him. So it's crazy how this all links together. I don't think this chapter was a coincidence where Kashin Koji tells Boruto that he is going to die. And honestly, this does make sense. Back in the early chapters of TBV, when Boruto is talking to Kawaki, he says he would gladly die here, but not now. This foreshadows his death in the future because he says he wouldn't mind dying in the Hidden Leaf Village. Boruto also says to Mitsuki in chapter 7 that he had a ton of things left to do and that he cannot die yet. This foreshadows Boruto's death and that he has accepted that he is going to die. He says it in a way that he knows his death is coming. Boruto also says to Code that this is the worst possible future, which foreshadowed that Kashin Koji had told him about the future. So I think Boruto has accepted that he is going to die eventually and that he wants to fix everything, before he dies. So now Boruto's new objective is to finish off Code and the Ten Tails. Now what's funny is, upon reading this chapter, Kashikoji says that if Kawaki had killed Boruto and Sarada, Kawaki would have lost against Code, and thus Code would have gave Kawaki to the Ten Tails and he would have been devoured by it. Thus the divine tree would have been made and it would destroy the planet. That right there tells us that Code becomes an Otsutsuki in the future. Since Kashikoji says he sees all the possible futures, right now with all these events happening, it could be possible that either Boruto or Kawaki get devoured by the Ten Tails, thus making the fruit, and if Code eats that fruit, he becomes an Otsutsuki. Now the one thing I have to say is, since Kashikoji has told Boruto of everything that might happen in the future, this only turns down the theory that Boruto has seen the future. Because I myself thought that either he uses Momoshiki's eye or the Jougan he sees into the future, but because Kashikoji has come into the picture and tells Boruto what's going on in the future, that theory is out of the window. That means the only way Boruto can fix anything is by going into the past, which is where I think the Jougan is going to come. That is the eye of time travel. I think that's what they're going to go towards. Since now they're talking about timelines, they're talking about seeing stuff in the past, seeing stuff in the future. That's how you know the only thing left is time travel, which has already been hinted by the Otsutsuki turtle. But now if Boruto possesses an eye power, just like how all these guys have eye power seeing the past and the present, he has his eye power, which will allow him to travel freely in the timeline and changing certain events. So it's possible that with Boruto's eye, Boruto jumps in the past or present and he changes the future and how he wants it to. Thus, he might be able to fix the timeline and get rid of the Shinjus, everything else that happens. Though that's just a theory. There's also a theory, which I will talk about a bit later in another video if I get time, that Shibai is the one leading Boruto. Because of what Kashikoji says here, what I want you to understand is that our future has continuously been walking a dangerous tightrope for several years now. This is telling us that the events happening in the Boruto timeline have been happening a weird way, where everything that's happening has an extreme risk of the planet being destroyed or whatever it is. So what if a divine entity like Shibai is the one actually controlling the timeline? This does make sense, as we've seen in the beginning of this chapter when Jura says that Boruto, you only survived because some divine power wants you alive. So what if Shibai is the one actually paving the way for Boruto? That's an interesting topic I want you guys to think about. And you guys heard that here first, bro. So with that stuff out of the way, I just want to quickly go over a few things. This is the first time we have seen Bug's Shinju name, which is called Mamushi, which translates into a snake or a venomous snake. So I wonder if he's going to betray Jura, or does he have some other role for Ida, which only time will tell. So then getting back into the present, we have Boruto waking up in the village after he got the trump shot done on him. Himawari wakes up, heals Sarada, and then Himawari goes to try and heal Boruto, but Kawaki says no, don't do it yet. Kawaki gets the frog that's on Boruto's neck, which is Kashikoji's, and he crushes it. This now makes Kawaki question on who's Boruto's accomplice, which he thinks it might be Kashikoji. Now what's interesting here are these handcuffs that Amaro has made, which seal off jutsus, and thus Konohamaru puts those handcuffs on Boruto, which won't allow him to use any jutsus or anything like that. So Amaro is running slimy. I wonder what those handcuffs are. This is basically the bootleg version of the sea prison stones from One Piece. Boruto is going to be healed, but he's going to be put inside a prison with his hands sealed off so he can't use any jutsu. Little do they know, I think Boruto is going to be able to break out of that. I don't think he's going to need to use jutsus like that, because Boruto is an Otsutsuki. He might be able to use the karma to escape. So we'll see what happens in the future. The last thing I want to talk about before I end this video off, we have a new Shinju coming. That's right, this panel here, we see this Shinju, which looks so much like Shinki, which most likely it is. I'm 100% on that, it is Shinki. Now the one thing that gets me is what Mamushi says to Jura, saying that Matsuri is back. Based on their investigation, it seems that Boruto has an accomplice, which Jura then says, I see, so that's how Boruto knows of such intel on the Thorn Soul Bulb and such. So this also tells me that Boruto might have befriended Shinki. Matsuri basically converted Shinki into a Shinju, because Shinki could have been one of Boruto's accomplices, for all we know. But most likely they're talking about Kashikoji here. But I do wonder, how did Matsuri find that out? That makes me question what her investigation was. But anyways, it looks like she did bite somebody, and that fruit grew off the tree, and now she is awakening that fruit, which next chapter I think we're going to see, and it's most likely going to be Shinki. So this is actually surprising the way it works out. When somebody gets bit, it takes a little bit of time for that person's body to turn into a Thorn Soul Bulb, which then they put on the black cube and then awaken them. So if Jura Jorah was the first one, then all these people that followed after, Jorah awakened them one by one. So that's some interesting stuff right there. So anyways, that's it for this chapter. I'm just still shookest about my boy being killed in the future. Bro, Kishimoto, Ikimoto, they're cooking, dog. They is cooking some fire ass food right now, bro. Like, I'm starting to get hungry waiting on this right now. This is it for this chapter. Let me know what you guys think. I'll try to make some more videos. I'm not gonna lie, I've been quite busy. I haven't had a lot of time to edit, anything like that. I will try to upload some more because there are some greasy theories I want to go over. So let me know in the comments if you guys don't see any other topics. I'll make a video on the best of my abilities and we'll see how that goes. So anyways, please comment, like, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos to come.